So, John, recent editions of vSAN we've been referring to things known as a durability component. What is it, and what's it used for?
So durability components are really a cool technology. They were first introduced in 7 Update 1 in cases of planned maintenance activities, and 7 Update 2 in cases of unplanned activities, like a device going APD or a host going missing. What do these do? So let's start with the maintenance activity. So I put a host into maintenance mode, and let's just say I'm using a basic RAID 1 mirror. I've got 2 copies of data. Now, one of them is going to go what's called stale because it's no longer accepting the new writes. That host is going to go do a reboot or some things. And when it comes back, then it would need to resync from the other copy what the data was that was missing. Or if I had a RAID 5, I had one of those 4 components went offline, I would then have to basically rebuild the missing data, from parity that's missing on that. Alternatively, I could have done a full evacuation and shut that off, but that takes a long time. So what does the durability do? It kind of closes this gap. So the missing writes from that copy of data that's gone offline, they get redirected into another fault domain or another host. So there's basically, it's like a delta log. It's just a serialized log of all the missing writes. And where this really comes in is if you had a case where one copy is now stale, it's now old, and the other copy, let's say that host, it disappears, it catches fire. Now all I have is an old copy of data. There's a witness component, but it's going to say sequence numbers doesn't match. I now have data loss, right? This is a bad situation. Not only do I have data unavailability that VM is going to isolate and go into isolation response, but now I've got data loss. What that delta component does is with the stale absent copy and the durability component, that's going to basically let me rebuild a full copy of that component and regain availability once that host comes out of that maintenance activity, or maybe the host failed, the motherboard died, and you replaced it, you brought it back. This doesn't necessarily solve all the availability challenges that maybe just using a better RAID level like RAID 6 would solve, but it does protect me from data loss events in a much greater sense. This gives me very much an extra kind of saving throw here. And what this does is this reduces significantly the risk to data integrity in cases where I'm doing rolling maintenance activities. People who are really paranoid and were only using a RAID 1 or RAID 5 often would do full evacuation. What this is going to do is this is going to get me not necessarily quite the same level of protection as RAID 6, but from a data integrity perspective, a lot closer. And that's going to help one potentially, lessen the need for RAID 6. That's going to lessen the need to do full evacuations of critical VMs. And this is going to just help increase resiliency of the platform in general.